Hello, it's Michael. I just wanted to give a brief overview of some things that happened this week and get you ready for next week. And you've gotten your first somewhat of a challenging topic behind you. You've started to understand name value pairs, data organization. You've learned hopefully where data can come from. What you haven't learned, or maybe you'll find is interesting, is that even though you have structured data right now, you've got a name value pair, but you don't have any real understanding of what this isn't information yet, right? It's just data. In fact, many of you had to change your topics, many had to add fields, and you'll continue to work to add fields to your data because, as many of you might have familiarity with some of the design parts of this creating value online or wherever, you might not have experience in actual understanding databases, which I want you to have, because if you haven't ever worked from data, it's the way to go. If it isn't in the database, you cannot put it on the page. Now, we worked this week on pattern, which is trying to understand if you can find ways to group, and we're going to continue to work on this topic. So if you didn't get that this week, it will continue to be worked on. One thing you may have noticed is I had a little tricky thing here, which these are all hopefully coming across as being like, why is this like that? Why is this? So in this case, when you added something to this list, it put it in a row. Okay, cool. There's a little thing I can turn on or off that says when things are contributed, it puts it in a row. And a couple of you figured out how to not do that, which is fine too. But is this structured? Is this organized? Well, it's kind of. It's organized by date. So I guess I could say the thing at the end is something that someone contributed later. That's kind of neat. Um, but being kind of neat is its only goal, right? It's just supposed to neaten things up. This is still not structured data, not in any way, shape, or form. This is data in a database, somewhere in Mural, somewhere. It's got all this in a table. But it isn't something necessarily you could learn anything from. Yeah, that's sort of, we're still in this world of pretty useless data. And you even have that here as you shared some things out. Once again, hopefully everyone has submitted this to Canvas. I know we do a lot of sharing. We will do lots of sharing on Mural because we want everybody to be able to see each of our journeys, even though you may wonder why you're not doing a group project. Well, maybe that'll become more obvious later. Because this week, now what we're going to do is we're actually going to turn this into information, but boy, it is not going to be in the way you think. So if we go to week 4, we are starting into controlled vocabularies. Controlled vocabularies are really useful. So right as with always, read the stuff that we have here in how to get started with JS Fiddle is what we're going to use this week and next week, and the project is due at the end of next week. And I got a lot of help here as well as examples. I've got one example of my data that I've taken from my perfumes. These are all just to get you started, not feeling too lost, because what you're going to share here is HTML markup. You're going to learn HTML. You can learn it from this list. Actually, they're just English words. They do have a particular formatting, which you might or might not get used to, but that's fine. I'm not really looking at all for this to render. I'm going to say that 5,000 times to you guys. I have no interest in anything but the tags that you choose, and especially hierarchy. If you saw last week, we talked about hierarchy. It's kind of a hint. What is the hierarchy? What is the H2, H3, H4, or if you want H2, or what are the groups? So for example, you can repeat hierarchies if you have different groups. Kind of a cool trick when you think about it. And hierarchy is actually literally going to turn your data into information. It seems miraculous because you think of it as being consumed by a person. And of course, I am repeating a lot of the topics that I go into in these here, but it isn't consumed by a person. Most information is actually consumed by Google. And by the way, Google absolutely 1000% is going to look at your markup. And also, we are pretty agnostic right now. As long as you have hierarchy and structure, you can make things look however you want. We're not even interested in how things look. We are interested, I think I might have spilled the beans on why are we doing this, but hey, I'd love your feelings after you start to try out HTML because to my knowledge, it is a pretty easy language. It is just, after all, just English. It's really what are the tags that you choose. I am very much interested in you looking in here and finding a piece of your data, and that's really what the goal is. You look at each piece of data and try to figure out, hey, is this just going to be in a list like last week? I hope not, because lists aren't super meaningful, right? They're just kind of vaguely organized. But what if something actually has a field that means something? So I think one of the cool fields might be things like, who knows? Where's a good one? Ooh, perfect one. Time. There's a great tag if you have a date in your field. Yeah, why not? So the more you can find, the more specific tags. The reason why is, we'll find out the reason why. We're going to work on this for a couple weeks. So this is to use tags that describe your data and figure out groupings. What data works best together so that you don't have to repeat endless amounts of hierarchy, which can get pretty noisy. A lot of work to do, a lot of experimentation. So this is where you're going to use JS Fiddle as a nice basic processor that'll help you a little bit. It doesn't do all the work for you, but it's a nice environment. Once again, sharing might be a little bit tricky. Maybe I'll get a picture here, but always share this out so anyone can view. There's nothing private about it. So on your way to making information in week 4.